Okay, well, hey, you guys.
Hey.
This is kind of wild because you guys, were the first big podcasters to come invite me to speak to you. And as I said on your show that we just did together, I totally dug how much fun you were having. And I've now listened to many of your podcasts, and I always enjoy the dialogue between. And I've got to watch you guys mature together. You move now like shall we say, a mature pack of wolves.
I like that.
I noticed that the first time that I got interviewed by you guys, you had a tendency to jump in on each other. Mm-hmm. So it would kind of leave me hanging like, well, who am I talking to? 1 minute I'm here. But now you guys are like Russian hockey players. You know where each other's at without looking, and the puck's moving magically around, and it's quite fun to be a part of. So when I decided I was going to start my own podcast, one of the first, Penny said, well, who do you want to interview? I said, MindPump.
Yes.
I want to talk to MindPump. And so I've been blessed to have some amazing people be happy to step up for interviews. But you're the first podcast in my podcasting career. So I feel like I'm kind of blessed. It's kind of like getting to go to Santa Claus for your first interview and say, well, everybody wonders if you're real.
We're actually honored. We're absolutely honored that you asked us. And when we sent the email to you to invite you down and you said, oh, I want to interview you guys too, all of us were like, absolutely, hell yeah. You're
no hesitation.
Yeah, you're one of our favorite people.
Thank you.
Yeah, and then one of our favorite people to interview and talk with. So
great.
Total.
Yeah.
So I've got a list of 18 questions that my podcast is called Living 4D with Paul Chek. So physical, emotional, mental, spiritual. There's 1 4. Dr. Happy, Dr. Diet, Dr. Quiet, Dr. Movement. There's another 4. All our lives depend on earth, water, fire, and air. There's another 4. Om, AUM _ I awaken. Here I am. Ooh, I'm dreaming. What is your dream, baby? Why are you here? I'm sleeping. It's been a great day or a great life. Time to put my head on the pillow and celebrate a little. And _ deep dreamless sleep. And then we wake up and do it all again. So there's another 4. Then you've got Hegel's thesis, my idea, antithesis. Every new idea comes with challenges, doesn't it? Even a new relationship, sex is great for the first few months, but then reality strikes and we got to figure out how to grow together. So thesis is always followed by antithesis, which is followed by synthesis. Now you got wisdom, which needs to be followed by rest or you burn yourself out. So there's another 4. So when I looked at how 4 was involved in all the important cycles that make life, I said, these are the things I need to talk to people about. So my program is Living 4D, 4 dimensions, which there's many 4s with Paul Chek. And so I also have a system that I think you guys are aware of. I teach my students 1, 2, 3, 4. What is a person's dream? Because that's what inspires them to be willing to change, right? If you don't know what their dream is, you're just telling them what to do because you actually assume they want to get better. And they may not want to get better because they think it means more responsibility or more doing a job they don't want to do. So 1, what is a person's dream? 2, what's out of balance relative to the yin and the yang of creation? Where you're doing too much, where you're doing too little, and don't bullshit yourself because you're the one that loses. 3, there's only 3 choices we can make in relation to any person, place, or thing, the optimal, the suboptimal, and do nothing. 4 doctors. You have to be consciousness of what is happy making. If you don't know what is happy making for you, how are you ever going to make yourself happy? Movement, we have to move our bodies to keep them healthy. Diet, we have to know how to eat right or we'll make ourselves sick. And quiet, if we don't get enough rest, we burn out or we just don't participate in the world. So 1 love, 2 forces, 3 choices, 4 doctors, build your dreams. That's my motto that I teach. So I'm going to begin by working through some of these concepts with you guys. So my first question is a little introduction I'd like to hear from each of you so that the people that have never maybe listened to your podcast, hopefully they will now. I want them to know a little bit about who Sal is, who Justin is, who Adam is, and I know Doug's running the whole show, but maybe we can share, or you can share what Doug means to you guys, or he can get up and talk. But
there's 4 of us too, Paul.
There's 4 of you.
That's right. See how that happened?
There's another important 4. And you
Magic.
see, Jung spoke a lot about 4
magic,
because he
Sal.
says it's the number of wholeness.
Destiny.
Right? The 3 of you without Doug, what would you be?
Oh, God.
Oh my gosh.
Whoa.
That's
We would
scary.
not be. How about that?
You'd be a bunch of guys
we wouldn't.
talking in a room.
You would have exploded.
And the room wouldn't go beyond the walls.
right.
And the phone would say, you guys should start a podcast. And I know a guy named Doug. He'll help you out.
That's right.
So just tell me, what is it that juices you? Tell me something that makes me know, I think I know a little bit about Sal. Not just he's a handsome guy with dark hair and he likes exercise and likes talking.
Oh, man.
That's it right there.
Who are you?
Get 'em going.
I want to know who you are.
I guess I'll bring it back to how I met Doug. Before that, I had gotten into exercise at the age of 14. Very insecure, skinny kid. That's what got me into lifting weights and working out. I was very analytical about it, the way I am with a lot of things. I'm sometimes people look at me and they think I'm you must have an athletic background. Or I remember when we first all met, Justin, Adam, and I, they all assumed that I was an athlete because I looked like I worked out, and they were all kind of shocked when I told them, yeah, no, I'm the worst athlete you'll ever run into. I like working out, but I'm much more of an analytical type of an individual. And this is how I approached exercise and nutrition. And I went through that process of learning and growing. And at the age of 22, I opened up my first wellness facility.
Wow.
And in the wellness facility, I had acupuncturists and massage therapists, and I had a Chek practitioner in there as well. And the goal was to offer kind of total wellness services. My contribution was I understood weight training and correctional exercise. I didn't touch the other stuff.
Yeah.
Fast forward, I went through my own health kind of crisis, and I had to open my eyes to the other aspects of health, including the wellness sides, including meditation, including understanding food beyond proteins, fats, and carbohydrates, understanding hormones beyond testosterone only and estrogen only, and that got me to a particular point. And then I met Doug. Doug came to me. He was actually my client.
Right on.
Yeah, he got brought to me by a chiropractor because he had some back problems. Doug had a long history of exercising and working out, so he didn't come to me as a total beginner. He knew what he was doing, but he came to me because he had back pain. And through training with me, a lot of my concepts were very counter to the popular muscle building concepts that you read in the magazines.
Yeah.
Like the progress he got, maybe a few months into our relationship, he comes and he says, Sal, if you ever have anything you want to sell or promote, let me know. He goes, I know how to do some of that stuff online. And then that's when I created the first fitness program that we sell through our podcast and through our other channels, which was MAPS, the first MAPS program.
Great.
And then we wanted to decide, how can we promote this? How can we get this out there? Nobody knew me besides my local community. How can I build some authority? And we had some ideas, and podcasting was one of them. At this time, Adam and I were in contact through social media. We had some mutual friends, but I'd never really actually met him before. I knew of him. We were both top performers at 24 Hour Fitness when we were younger, and so I knew of him that way.
Yeah.
That was about it. But I saw he had a large social media presence, and I wanted his opinion, so I sent him my marketing material. Adam calls me up right away, and he's like, I love this. This is exactly what the type of thing that needs to get promoted. And we got on the phone, and we, for about an hour, we had a great conversation, and we decided, let's all start a podcast. We all met in Adam's living room. This is when I met Justin. This is when Justin and Adam met Doug. And it was from day one, fireworks. And really what it was all of us wanted to bring integrity to the fitness and health space. We wanted to change the direction of the fitness industry away from contributing to health problems and towards solving them. Because for a long time, the popular fitness industry was selling insecurity, hate your body, get ripped in 30 days, take this pill, take this powder, and it was just failing.
Right.
And we could see it left and right. And so we wanted to move it in the direction of helping, but also we were all, in our previous jobs and lives, exceptional salespeople. And we understood communication.
Yeah.
And we knew if we're going to get people to hear us, we need to entertain them. And so MindPump was born out of this entertainment inform kind of model,
right.
And it seems to have worked.
So I understand now the connection, but Justin, it's not very clear where you fit in, other than the fact that you showed up in the meeting somehow.
Right. So I actually worked with Adam previous to that. So he was my manager when I was at 24 Hour Fitness. And basically, I learned under him, and I learned under a lot of other really good trainers that sort of, brought me up to speed. I went to school out in Chicago, and it just came back to get work, and went underneath Adam's wing, and really kind of learned all, how to train and put my hours in, and then went from there to train by myself. And so that's really to kind of go back to sort of the beginning of what brought me out to Chicago was I wanted to be my own person. I wanted to figure out what I specifically wanted to do. And that was my first sort of moment to go more towards growth mindset and get outside of my fixed sort of mentality. And ever since then, I've been addicted to that process of getting really uncomfortable. And health and fitness was a perfect fit for that. I just found that every day I could improve something upon myself. And specifically, I was drawn to athletics. And so what brought me out there was football. Mm-hmm. So this is where I could express myself and get out a lot of this anger and frustration and all this kind of stuff. It was a really healthy outlet for me.
Yeah, I played football.
Yeah.
I know it's what it's like to just release all your power into somebody.
So I enjoyed that for a while, and that was my thing. But I just realized quickly it was only going to a certain level, and I wasn't physically, I didn't have the gifts to then propel me into having that as my career. So came back here, and then was just really looking for something to motivate me and drive me, and that's how I got into personal training, and I just loved it. I just loved the everyday interactions with people. I very much, and I might seem like the quiet, reserved one and all that, in a group setting, but for the most part, I really love connecting with people one-on-one.
Yeah.
And so that was something that was really part of the job. I looked forward to it every single day because it's constant feedback, and then it's constant assessment for me then to use new methods. I was purpose driven to where I sought out more education, that I could then take that career path and then create my own career path out of it. And so anyway, all that led into later on, Adam had just finished up with his cannabis business that he was running, and we just reconnected. And I was like, man, why haven't we connected? Why aren't we doing something together? We did so well at 24 Hour Fitness together. And at the time, I had this idea for this app, and so I was very driven by my experience training people. I wanted to duplicate that. So apps at the time were huge, and so I was like, yeah, pitch them this idea. Fast forward, we kind of went all in on that idea, and really wasn't going anywhere. Meanwhile, we meet Sal, and then this felt like something.
Yeah.
And it felt like something right from the very beginning. And
yeah, the chemistry's alive. It's palpable.
Yeah.
Like I say, you feel to me now like a mature pack of wolves that have eyes in the back of your head and know who's doing what when they're doing it. So, this happens when people dance together a lot, sing together a lot, or go through rituals. I don't know if you ever read the book. Is it called Something Fire, Stealing Fire? Yeah. What about the Navy SEALs?
Kotler.
Yeah, and how they have
Flow
to get
state.
they have to get below the ego so that the Navy SEALs are functioning as a unit. Right. This is what I'm talking about when I say functioning like a wolf pack. You're paradoxically beyond the conscious thought where, okay, what's he doing, what I'm doing? It's just natural.
It's funny you
Group
say that.
flow.
It's,
I know,
it's funny you say
it's
that
really
because,
funny you say that,
because we're all, you put any of us in a room and we're all very alpha. We've all been leaders. All of us tend to take charge. But for some reason, it works so well with us in the sense that if Justin takes the lead on something, everybody else moves behind and follows orders and works together. If Adam takes the lead on something, if I take the lead on something, if Doug takes the lead, we all work together in that particular way and there's almost no question. It's very seamless. And it's very strange because I've never worked in an environment like that before.
Absolutely.
There's an interesting thing I'd like to share with you about that with regard to spiritual growth. It means that you have enough conscious awareness and respect for the level of alpha in each other to genuinely know when to become feminine. In other words, the feminine is the receptive pole. If you're alpha on alpha, you're not listening to what I'm saying. You're just trying to make sure I conform to your opinion or your directive. But generally when real, strong, intelligent men get together, they're smart enough and strong enough to see when they're in the presence of another strong, intelligent man, especially if he's got intelligence or unique strengths that they don't have. And that's when we become feminine. And we learn actually from men that we highly respect to allow ourselves enough to listen and be present with them. And that's the feminine pole. So strong, healthy men can actually inspire the growth of the feminine receptive principle. And when I say you're not truly a man until you can be as feminine as you can be masculine. And people think, oh, what do you mean? They're going to run around, get a sex change or something. But no, I'm meaning until you can be as loving as a woman, as nurturing as a woman, as attentive as a mother, as receptive as a female intimately. Like, it's one thing to bury your penis in a vagina and be very aggressive and masculine about it, but it's another thing to listen to somebody that's in pain with your heart and allow them that deep inside of you because it means connecting to another person's pain. You understand what I'm saying?
Absolutely.
That's a real challenge for a lot of men. I've had to work hard because I was raised by a father that toughened me up and was, don't cry, just get the frickin' job done or I'll kick the shit out of you. So I had to suppress all that. So when I started getting around people in a lot of pain, I wasn't given the permission to be in pain, so I had no way to bring it into me. But what I'm seeing in you guys is you're actually giving each other a chance to truly respect, because you respect each other, to become receptive and to let each of you inside the other, so that there's a penetration that's beyond sex. It's spiritual penetration. So congratulations.
That sounds
I
hot.
spiritually
Yeah,
penetrated the shit out of you guys.
I'm sweating over here.
As long as you don't have a tent rising up. Otherwise, we have to start again on this conversation.
Halfway there. Yeah, halfway there.
Well, that's God.
Yeah.
Yes.
So here's my next question on the hit list. In my system, number one is one love. So I'd like to know, what is love to each of you?
Oh, geez.
What is when someone says I love
easy
you, or
question.
you say to somebody I love this,
I believe it's.
what does it mean to each of you?
I believe it's.
This isn't a wolf pack. I want to hear from each of you.
Oh, yeah.
Okay. All right. I believe it's when I love something equal to or more than myself.
Very good.
That's what I think.
And so what is it that you mean is happening when you say love?
Well, then I think that would be like the dissolving of the ego. I think that's where you have this ability to truly give all of yourself to someone or something else. And I only think that's possible once you have fully, truly loved yourself. Otherwise, you can't give any love to somebody else.
Okay, so if I'm hearing you say correctly, what you're saying love is to you is to be as present with and connected to another as you are to yourself.
Yeah.
Good. How does it feel when you do it?
Well, it feels amazing. It's an ongoing practice, though.
It is an ongoing practice.
I don't think it's a destination. I think that life reveals many obstacles that will challenge this.
Yeah.
But I think if you have the right attitude to embrace it and go with it and grow from it, I think that you'll continue to experience greater levels of it throughout your life.
Now you know why I'm concerned about people that don't get to have clean water and eat real food.
True.
That's what love is to me, too. You understand? That process you just described keeps growing until you wake up one day and you go, oh my God, everything's inside of me. All the birds, the bees, the bugs, the trees, the ugly people, the angry people, the wounded people, the beautiful people, they all are some aspect of me. And I couldn't be who I am without them, and they couldn't be who they are without me. And now you know what love means at its potential, right?
Yeah, I was going to say authenticity.
Yeah? So tell me, what is it? How does that play out? If Justin's loving me, what can I trust is authentic about it?
Whatever I feel like you deserve in terms of, whether it's empathy or it's a teaching moment or it's what's going to embetter you, at the same time fill you up and give you what I can give. But I definitely have to make sure that I have myself full. But being authentically myself, I feel like I'm able to then love.
So does that also mean in your code that if somebody wants love for you or maybe even needs love from you, but you genuinely need to love yourself right now for whatever reason, that you're capable of saying no when you need to?
That's what I'm working on. Yeah. I don't think I always apply that. There's times where it's a struggle because I want to give a lot of the times. And I feel like I could pull, that on myself, and recharge a bit.
Yeah.
But again, this is this where I am in life in terms of having kids and having a family, and I could get caught into really being focused and projecting all of myself into them, and so I've learned to basically look at my own health and well-being and where I am in terms of where I want to go, and if we're all on the same vision together, that's been way more effective, and I felt like I have more to give.
Yeah. You remember when a guy named Paul Chek was on your show and you guys said, okay,
He called me the flower. Hey.
look at us. I said you were the lover.
Yeah.
You're the lover.
Oh, he's the lover.
The judge, the lover, and the warrior.
Oh, that's right.
The ass kicker.
That's it.
So that's lovely. Sal, what is love when it's happening in you?
What is love?
Yeah, there you go. When I think of love, I think of my kids. Not that that's what means love, but it just the image pops on my kids.
Yeah.
I'll tell you a story. So when I was, I want to say 28, maybe 28 years old, I went out to Big Sur and went camping with some friends and was practicing meditation. Up until this point, my history with exercise was I wanted to build as much muscle as possible all the time. Since I was 14 till that point, and I did a lot of things to my body that weren't good. They weren't good for my body. They weren't healthy, and my body was starting to rebel. And at this point, I don't remember how old I was. Let me think. My son's 13. He was probably 3 years old, so it's got to be at least 10 years ago. He was a young boy, and I was sitting there meditating and thinking. And having children is a phenomenal way to reflect certain things to you. It's actually one of the most.
Oh yeah, they're a mirror.
It'll give you a sense of meaning like nothing else. And I was sitting there and I was thinking of my son, who at the time was 2 or 3, and I was thinking of all his qualities. And it's the first time I'd really felt this unconditional love is when I could think about my son, and I thought about how he looked and how he was, and and my friends were asking me, why I was getting emotional. And they were asking me, well, tell us about your son. They said, is he real athletic? Is he going to be real athletic? And I said, no, he's probably going to be just like me, And I started thinking about that, and I started thinking about how much I hated that myself, but how charming and how much it made me love my son even more.
Yeah.
And I thought to myself, why can't I
love yourself?
Why can't I love myself that way?
Yeah.
And it was a dramatic shift in that moment, and from that day forward, I really changed the way I treated myself. And so when you say what is love, I think it's interesting. Love is, with my kids, I'll bring them up again. Some people think, oh, I love myself, that's why I eat whatever I want because I don't want to give myself restrictions or what. When I feed my kids, I don't let them eat cupcakes every day.
No.
That'd be terrible.
Yeah.
Sometimes, though,
Yeah.
I'll let them have a cupcake, but most of the time I'll feed them properly. And so love is it's both giving you what you want and giving you what you need. It's treating yourself in a way that will help you grow and understand those things. And many times that means things are going to be painful or things are going to hurt or be difficult. So I think love is it feels very good, even when it feels bad. And that's when I think of love, and it's kind of abstract, but that's what comes to me.
Well, love is, highly subjective. I've had many of the kind of materialist mindsets, scientist mindsets in my class saying things like, oh, you can't prove that. astral fields, astral travels, remote viewing. You talk like this stuff is real. Well, there's no evidence for it. I think it's a bunch of bullshit. And I say, oh, is that right? So what you're telling me is if you can't weigh it and measure it, it doesn't exist in your model. Well, basically, if science can't identify it, it's bullshit. Oh, say good. So
Tell me about love.
You believe in that model. I say, okay, then I have a question for you. If we put love in that category, does that mean love doesn't exist? Does it mean it's not even worth being involved in because you can't weigh it or measure it? And ask yourself, what would science be like if we took all the love out of the scientists? Would it be good science? Or would it just be mechanistic garbage? And not one person that's challenged me on this sort of if you can't weigh and measure it model, they all realize love is more important and they cannot define it objectively. So I always say, remember, the objective cannot exist without its complementary opposite, the subjective, and love is the subjective essence of life. And everything that's objective is somehow included in it, because even if you can say I'm touching the frame on my mic right now, or 2 + 2 is 4, or that mountain is 7,400 feet tall, or I'm wearing black shoes, all of that's coming from your perception of consciousness, which is subjective.